we're gonna make floating islands. And of course, meringue was created by Marie Antoine Carême. So I thought this would be an amazing first hearth dessert to do. Fairly quick, fairly easy, very, very classic. You certainly don't see it very much anymore, but we thought it was time to bring it back around. So the first thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna take a pan and I'm simply gonna add into the pan some milk. You can use half and half, you can use a combination. This is just under a pint, right about a pint. And I'm also gonna add in some vanilla. So about a teaspoon and a half, maybe 2 teaspoons. And then this is gonna go onto the hearth and we're going to bring it to a simmer and we're gonna poach our meringue into this mixture. So while we allow that to simmer on the hearth, let's go ahead and let's get our eggs together. So we're gonna do 4 eggs and I'm going to separate them. And we're just gonna separate those whites from the yolks. And then we're going to beat our whites. And probably, unlike any YouTube or cooking show you've ever seen, we're going to beat these by hand because at Grand Cuisine, we want to do the techniques the way they were originally done. So we're going to beat them in our copper bowl until we have firm peaks, and then we're gonna add in some sugar. By the way, if you like what we're doing, if you're excited about our channel, please hit the like button, please subscribe to us, and stick around because we have a lot more to do. We have tons of books to go through, so many recipes, and it's gonna be really exciting. So we're gonna go ahead and begin to beat. So this reminds me of culinary school when we had to beat egg whites by hand. Not that we didn't have electric mixers then. I'm not quite that old, but we were required to learn how to beat egg whites by hand so that we would know it. I generally don't require my students to beat egg whites by hand, although sometimes I do challenge them to races because it's kind of fun. So if you notice, when I beat the egg whites, I'm literally going in a circular motion, lifting the egg whites up so that we develop air into the egg white, and that will actually aerate and tie those proteins up, which is really what we're doing. We're tying up the proteins of the egg whites, and it will allow them to form much quicker. So one misconception about egg whites is adding in the sugar too quickly. I try to instruct my students to add the sugar in after the egg whites have almost fully formed. Now, I will admit, I'm only doing 4 egg whites. And if you were in Marie Antoine Carême's kitchen, you probably would be doing 60, maybe more, for the number of people they would serve. So of course it was a whole lot harder for them. I always think it's amazing to look back and see what they actually did with the lack of equipment, without the ability to have anything mechanical. So you see our egg whites are forming. Of course, the copper bowl does form a unique chemical makeup with the egg whites and does allow them to beat up quicker. and we're right about there. We really almost have a stiff peak, don't we? So we're going to go ahead and add in some sugar. We're going to add into our 4 egg whites about half a cup is what it's going to be. I'm going to add a little bit at a time. The sugar actually forms as a liquid, so it will actually deplete the egg whites. So this is why it's much easier to add the sugar in after the egg whites are beaten as opposed to before. Even on a mixer, it is much easier to add the egg whites, the sugar to the egg whites after you have beaten it. So, and now we're developing a nice glossy peak, and we still have that nice peak going. So I think we're doing pretty good. This old man's arms are holding up so far. Much, much thicker. I'm going to add in the last of our sugar, and our meringue will be ready. So very, very simple dish. Oops. Very simple dessert. Very, very classic. One that you don't see much anymore. But of course, for meringue, we see meringue in many, many instances. I have a feeling I'll be beating a lot of meringue. Look at that. That's a beautiful peak right there. I think we are done and ready. KitchenAid, I'm ready to take you on. All right. So we're going to take this to the hearth, and we're going to make quenelles, and we're going to poach them in our milk that is heating up on the hearth. So now we have our milk, and it is simmering very nicely in our hearth. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to take our meringue and we're going to form quenelles. Oh. There we go. And we're going to drop that quenelle right into our milk. And we'll do a few of those. And we're just going to roll those around in our milk. There we go. We'll do 4 of those to start. And then our milk is heated, and then we're going to use our milk to make our custard sauce afterwards. So once we have that, we can simply flip those over. There we go. Let's give those a flip and allow those to cook. I'll bring them out. Let those cook in that cream, and then I have a towel that we're going to pull them out once they have kind of expanded. You can kind of tell just by kind of pushing, and it should feel fairly firm, okay? So just kind of those out. They don't take very long. Our cream's actually very, very warm. We may want to actually pull it off. This is the time when we'd want to cut that down, but I'm going to take and pull that off and put that right on to my cloth, just like that. And then there are the islands for our floating islands. So now we're going to go ahead and we'll make our custard sauce, which is really a sauce anglaise. So I have our egg yolks, and I'm going to add sugar to that. Once again, probably about a half a cup. And I'm going to stir that around. And then I'm going to temper in some of my heated cream. And I'm going to put that straight in. Just like that. Put that to the side. I'm going to stir that. And then I'm going to put this entire mixture back into my cream. I'm going to put that on the fire. And I'm going to stir that for just a second. And this is the actual cream that I cooked the islands in, the meringue islands. Now I'm going to switch. I don't really want to use a whisk because I want to make sure that I don't beat in too much air into this. Now you shouldn't need a very high heat, so your embers should be fairly subdued for this. You want to cook this over a gentle heat. And we're going to let this cook. You can see it's very quick. It's already steaming, and it's going to thicken up on us very quickly. And then we will take it out and we will strain it, and it will be ready to finish our dessert with. So this is a very quick, easy dessert. Doesn't require any baking in the hearth, which can be done. We'll look at that later. But we wanted to do just a quick item. You can obviously also make an actual pudding in the hearth, similar to this. It is a little bit warm, granted. Just like our forefathers, this was cooking really in the line of heat. So it is a little warm, but this shouldn't take too long. It's heating very nicely. Those egg yolks are going to coagulate, and we're going to get a nice custard. And we just want it to coat the back of our wooden handle. All right, so we are cooking our custard, and it is beginning to thicken up. Interesting how here it's actually a very gentle heat, amazingly enough. But we are thickening our custard up, and it's just about ready. I'd like to see it just get a little thicker, trying to pull a little bit of heat to kind of finish it up. And it will. Custard's odd. It will stir and stir and stir and won't thicken, and then all of a sudden it will begin to thicken very quickly. So you have to constantly be on it. One day it may happen very quickly, and the next day the exact same recipe will take forever. So it just kind of has a mind of its own. But now we can see that we are thickening. We're getting a nice custard, a nice bottom, so I'm even going to take it off the heat, and you can see that we're getting a nice thickened custard sauce. That's just what we want, and I think we're just about ready to finish. As you can see, as I move it, I'm beginning to see the bottom of my pan, and that's what I want to see. So I think our custard is ready, and now all we have to do is strain it and cool it, and then we are ready to put our dessert together. So now we're ready to put our floating islands together. Very simple. We have our cooled custard sauce. I'm going to pour that onto my serving platter. And then I'm going to top it with some of our floating islands, our meringues that we made. Just kind of put them down wherever you think they look good. They're a little delicate, so be careful. There we go. And then we're going to finish out by taking some praline that I've made. Just kind of breaking that up. And sprinkling that right over our islands. Try to get some of the smaller pieces. And there we go. That out of the way. Floating islands. Let's clean up our platter. We have our floating islands with a fantastic almond praline.